Welcome to the Back to Basics podcast, a space where we share refreshing and honest conversations on all things pregnancy, birth, and parenting. I'm your host, Nicole, and I'm a mom, holistic childbirth educator and coach, and founder of Ruby Mamas. Today we have part 2 of Clare's story. In this episode, she shares how the medical midwives came and interrupted her birth, the hemorrhage she experienced and how she and her team handled it, as well as how ceremony helped to bring her back into her body after birth.
So, it's actually, let me start on the Sunday. I went to a women's circle. I was huge. My baby was born on Friday. And on Sunday, I started feeling like my contractions were starting. Instinctively, I think you just know if you're an intuitive person. And I had a feeling my labor was starting, but I still felt I had a few days to go.
How many weeks were you at this point?
39, exactly.
Okay.
So my baby was born 2 days early from my due date. And my due date was established by 3 different doctors in 3 different hospitals in 2 different countries. And eventually I was like, let me just pick an average all of them. I did. And on my last scan, I just told the doctor, just pick the average, because they asked me, what's your due date? And I was like, I've had like 4 different due dates by 4 different doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And they just averaged it for me here in the UK. And they told me, okay, we'll average it to the 10th of January. So that was it. Because due dates are not accurate. You know that.
Yeah, like your baby didn't get that memo.
Exactly. They come when they come.
Yeah.
But actually, my baby came 2 days before that average. So I guess if you have enough averages, you can actually get something pretty close.
Wait, hang on. Did you know when you conceived?
Yeah, I knew exactly when I conceived, the exact day.
Okay.
So I think that made a difference as well.
Okay, true.
So, yeah, the Sunday I was 39 weeks and he was born 39 plus 5. So literally 2 days before the official due date, he came. And I went to a women's circle with Natasha, our birthkeeper, and some other women. And we did a lot of movement therapy. We did some dance. We also did some setting some intentions for the new year, because it was it was the 3rd of January or something. It was the beginning of the year. And we had lunch together and we shared stories, and it was a very wholesome time. And on the way home, I really felt those contractions getting more. And I said, I think I'm going into labor. And the woman who had driven me there was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, honestly, I think it is starting. And I was like, but I don't think it's so intense yet, but these are definitely contractions. And I came home and I spoke to my partner and we said, let's just sleep. Let's see how things go. And this went on for a few days. And then on Wednesday, right? So this was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Things really felt like they were moving like strong. And I was like, I still thought I had more time because they were stopping and starting. But by the time it got to like 9 p.m., I was like, this is probably the real thing, but let me sleep. Let's wake up in the morning and see what happens. So I actually did go to sleep, and then around 2 a.m. in the morning, my contractions became proper contractions. So they were regular, they were not stopping, and they went on through the whole night. I slept through them. I didn't want to wake my partner up because I figured I'm still far far from the real thing because it wasn't so painful. They were just very regular. And then in the morning around 10 a.m., so this was on Thursday morning, my waters broke, but they didn't really break. They leaked. There was a little like, I went to the toilet and I noticed that my underwear was completely wet. And I was like, okay, I guess this is it. This is the real thing. So I told my partner, let's get some food. Before shit gets real, let me eat. And we ordered pancakes, really big, fluffy pancakes with maple syrup and fruit and yogurt. And that was the last meal I had. That was around 11 a.m. on Thursday. And then the contractions just like, they kicked off around midday. I was like, okay, this is happening. The baby's coming. So we started getting ready slowly, folded clothes because we had just done laundry, set up the birthing pool. I called my family friend Rachel before I called my birth keeper. I told her what was going on just to get her ready. And then we told my birth keeper, and she said she'll come when things are really, when I'm not speaking. When I stop talking, then I'll be in proper labor. I was like, cool. So yeah, Mark and I set up the birthing pool. I was like, I was so happy. I was like, yay, finally, it's happening. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait because I was so big. I was so big and I was so tired of being pregnant. I was massive and heavy, and my whole pregnancy was so painful. I had chronic pain from 5 months pregnant. I had really bad pelvic pain. At first, it looked like someone had beaten me, like I had bruises all over my back and my pelvis.
Holy shit.
Just, yeah, man, it looked bad. I looked bad. I looked fucked up. And I couldn't understand why, because I was still small, but obviously things were moving. And I had a lot of work done during my pregnancy. I did lots of massage therapy, and I had an osteopath in South Africa and in London. I had to. It wasn't a luxury. I wish it was a luxury. I wish I was doing these things because I wanted to spoil myself. But if I missed on a session of massage, I wouldn't be able to walk. If I didn't do osteopathy, I would literally be in excruciating pain. So I really had a lot of treatments done to keep me on my feet. And the reason is because my baby was massive, but that I didn't know, and nobody really knew how big he would be until I saw him, and I was like, damn, that came out of me. That came out of me. Huge. And I don't even know how he's so huge because I hardly ate. That's another thing. My pregnancy was not fun. I had hyperemesis on top of the physical pain. I was vomiting nonstop basically my whole pregnancy. Nothing worked. No remedies worked. Nothing anyone told me worked. Everything just came in and out immediately. For the first 5 months, I was sick every single day, on an average, maybe 6 to 10 times a day. And then it reduced. But the nausea never went until the first few days postpartum. And it was a nightmare. I did not enjoy being pregnant at all. People kept saying, oh, you look so nice, so pregnancy glow. And I'm like, really? I haven't eaten or drank or slept in months. I do not feel like I'm glowing. I do not feel happy. My eyes, yeah, maybe my concealer is covering. I looked way worse pregnant than I do with a baby, and I'm getting less sleep, but at least I can eat. At least I can lie down, and then I couldn't lie down because of my pain. So I was sleeping on the couch propped up with cushions with a travel pillow around my neck. pregnancy was not a good, not a good journey. So anyway, let me go back to like actual labor. I was so flippin' happy that it was over. Like, and I think that's what kind of like maybe even that's why the baby came early. I'm not gonna lie. I said a little prayer the night I went into regular contractions, and I said, "Dear Lord, you know, I don't often ask for things direct, but please, I am tired. I am tired. I want my body back. I am so tired of carrying this baby. I just want him to be born. I want to be able to eat again. I want to be able to sleep again. I want to be able to live my life." And sure enough, I went into labor like a few hours later. So I was over it. I was really over it. And I really manifested my birth. Like by the time I got to 38 weeks, I couldn't hack it anymore. And every day I tried to set an intention, like, let the baby come, let the baby come. And I reduced all my stress. And I asked a lot of people, different people, how they made their baby come earlier. I knew a few people who had babies early, and all of them said rest. Don't get stressed, eat, and try and sleep as much as you can, which is completely contradictory to the rubbish other people were telling me who hadn't had babies come early, which was do exercise, go for a walk, I don't know, strain yourself. No, 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 no. They were right. Relax, eat, sleep, rest, and the baby will actually come. And that's what I did. The last few days before he arrived, I really just laid back. I didn't do much. I didn't move much. I had lots of baths. Me and my partner started watching Star Trek, and we just enjoyed being at home together. It was just after Christmas, and it was really nice vibes in our home. And yeah, my labor was actually breezy until it got to 6 in the morning on Friday. So I had been in labor since Wednesday in the night, and this baby's still in here. And I was just like, I started panicking, right? So like my whole journey was in the water. I couldn't give birth on land because of my physical pain. And once my labor had started, it was too painful for me to actually physically move out and in. And I think that slowed down the labor a little bit. If you want to have a faster labor, it's better to just use gravity and be on land. But that wasn't really an option for me. We tried coming out of the pool, and I ended up literally in tears for the first time I cried, and the only time I cried in pain during my labor was when I came out of the water. My birthing team was trying to encourage me to sleep because I had been in labor for so long, and they just wanted me to rest. And so they said, just come out and have a nap on the couch. And I came out of the water, and it was the worst pain. It really hits you when you're not floating anymore. And I had already really struggled with lying down and just sitting because of my pain. And it was, oh my God, so painful. I cried so much. And they literally had to carry me back into the water. And everyone was just like, we won't do that again. And I was like, thanks.
Please.
Okay, so yeah, my labor was just very slow because of how much pain I'd been during pregnancy and just needing to be in the water and not really having gravity on my side. So yeah, we labored until 6 in the morning together, and then I called the midwives who arrived around 9:30. Louis was born at 1. So they were there for 4 hours. The first couple of hours they were there was fine. They were a different kind of energy, and I think I needed that energy to push me to the end. They were loud, which is probably not the best in hindsight, but they gave me a boost of energy, and I was depleted. And they did check the baby's heartbeat and my heartbeat, and they like reassured me that everything was fine and that I was going to be able to get through to the end. And so it was nice to have that reassurance. But like I said, long labor, of course, he's going to take longer to come out. And the midwives kind of panicked because his head came out, but his body was a little bit stuck and it was taking a bit of time. And that's completely normal and it's fine, but they panicked. And I remember one of them, I didn't want a birth where I was touched because I have a past, an experience with being sexually abused. And I made it very clear and very explicit to the midwife attending my birth that I didn't want to be touched. But literally, when the baby's head came out and his body was just taking some time, she pulled my leg back without my consent. And I think that was the beginning of the end for me, because it's such those last few moments before you meet your baby and just after you meet your baby, it's so important to have peace. And they brought a disruption that came with a lack of peace. And she pulled my leg back and said, I need to switch positions because the baby wasn't coming out. And this is an emergency. And she was yelling, this is an emergency. Take me seriously.
For real?
Yeah. And I was like, calm down. I had a head between my legs. I'm the one in labor and I'm telling the people around me to calm down. And I was so pissed because I was like, there was no need to act like that. You know, if there's an issue, there's a way you can go about it without stressing me out and stressing my baby out. You know, have a good head. It's like, why are you being stupid? And she was like, right, you're gonna have to get out of the water. Like, and I'm saying it very casually, but she was yelling and being aggressive. As soon as I stood up, the baby just fell.
So she could have just said, stand for a second.
Yeah, or she could have just left me alone. He was already on the way out.
You know,
Didn't even need to push. Nobody needed to do anything. He was just taking his time. He took a lot of time. He took a lot of time to come. And he was a big boy, 4 kilos. And I'm tiny. So he was going to take his time. But yeah, he fell out of me. And that was huge, like massive shock. I think I went into shock because of how that last part of it went. There was a lot of adrenaline and a lot of stress and a lot of shock. He just came out, you know, I didn't push him. I didn't feel him come. I felt him fall, but I wasn't responsible for that. I didn't guide him out or anything, which would have been nice to do. But yeah, he just fell out of me. And I reached for him and the midwife reached for him at the same time. And I pulled him away from her and I held him and she said to me, we're going to have to take him. His cord was wrapped around his neck. And I was like, yeah, but he's not even breathing because he's still attached to me. Like he's still breathing from his umbilical cord. You know, like you all need to chill. They were really panicking.
Wait, did he fall into the water? Or who caught him?
He kind of not. He was just so huge. I caught his hand, she caught his leg, and his head kind of splashed in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So he was kind of suspended in the air, but it was for seconds, you know, because it's not like your baby's. It happened very quick, like him falling and him being caught and then being in my arms.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally seconds.
Okay. Was Mark in the pool as well?
No, Mark was in the pool for some of the labor, but when the baby came, he wasn't in the pool. He was out.
Oh, okay.
He was. We were eye to eye, directly eye contact the whole time I was pushing.
How was that?
It was beautiful. I zoned out. I wasn't here. Like, he really kept me. He held me with his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful for it because he wasn't really speaking. He was just, you know, I looked at him and he was saying to me with his eyes, "You can do this. You're amazing. You're so great. You're so strong." And I just pushed through because of him. And I think he was also in shock when the baby came because of the trauma and like how much noise was going on and like everything that I had to fight for that space that I had with him. And because as soon as he came out, they tried to take him and say, "Oh, he didn't have oxygen," and da-da-da. And I was just like, "Fuck off, get your hands off my child." You know, I was holding him and I was like, "Get your hands off my child," because they were trying to take him. And they were like, "Oh, we need to wipe him down." And I was like, "You're not going to touch him. Like, nobody's touching him. He's mine." Like, immediately I was just like, "Mama bear."
How unfair.
Right. And yeah, I was holding him. The first thing he did was like latch on. He immediately went for my boob. And I think Mark was standing in the water with me. This whole part is a blur because when you've just been in labor for that long, trust me, you ain't seeing shit.
You're coming from another planet.
Right. And then basically like I blacked out, but I was still standing. I whispered into my birth keeper's ear because she was trying to hold me up. And I said, "I can't even hear you right now." And she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I can't see. I'm not conscious." I literally said, I don't think I'm conscious. She was like, "You are conscious." And for the first time, Natasha became very vocal. She's very calm and she talks very softly. But when I told her I was blacking out, she literally was like, "Claire, stay here. You're here. Stay conscious." Da, da, da. I don't remember what she was saying, but she was trying to keep me on this planet. Because as soon as you black out, they're going to take you to the hospital.
Yeah.
And she tried to get me some food and some water. And she really wanted me to get back in the pool because I was still standing in the pool. And I think Mark was standing in the pool with me. But I really wanted to get out of the pool. By this point, I'd had enough. I'd been in the water for like 24 hours, you know. There's only so long you can be in water before you just want to be out and dry. And also the heat from the water, I thought that was also making me a little faint. And Natasha wanted me to stay in the water because I would be protected from the nurse, from the midwife. They wouldn't be able to come in. So it was like, do I stay in the water and possibly pass out, or do I get out of the water and have these people annoy me more? And we came out of the water and we just sat down together, like me, Mark, and the baby. Natasha managed to get the midwives out of the room. There was two of them. And we had space for, I think it was about 15 minutes. But then I called Natasha back in because I really wasn't feeling good. I was in a lot of pain and like I was having a really difficult time with the birthing my placenta.
Was your placenta still inside now?
Yeah. My placenta stayed in for ages. Huge, massive placenta, just like the baby. My golden hour was destroyed by these midwives and I was hemorrhaging as well. So it wasn't really a pleasant experience for me to pause and take a picture. I was trying to just get it out. It wasn't coming out. My body was not, I was not okay. And I was having a very difficult time bonding with the baby because I was just in so much pain. I couldn't even hold him anymore. And I just remember saying to Natasha, I just want this pain to end. I want it to end. It didn't feel good. I was not happy. And it just kept going on and on and on. And then eventually, the midwives panicked so much. They called an ambulance, which by the way arrived in 10 minutes. Liars. And when they told me that they called an ambulance, that's when I got my shit back together.
Mhm.
I was like, you ain't going to the hospital, bitch. Gather yourself. Gather yourself. So I literally gathered myself.
Mhm.
I took myself with the baby still attached to me and my partner. I painfully walked to my bathroom and I sat on the toilet. My birth keeper put like a sheet between the toilet seat and the toilet bowl
Mhm.
so that when the placenta came out, it wouldn't fall in. And that was the plan. I was going to sit there until my placenta came out. And it was bliss. Those few minutes we had in the toilet were the best minutes of my, like,
Okay.
yeah, with the baby and Mark. You know, we locked the door. There was
Mhm.
nobody chatting shit. You could even see the blue lights of the ambulance arriving, and Mark and I laughed about it. Like, look at these idiots still trying to make me go to the hospital. You
And this
know, we
was how
actually had
long?
like an hour and a half after the birth.
Okay. All right.
Um,
2 hours.
so we finally had some peace. And it was nice to actually sit in the bathroom because it's the coldest room in the house. And I think the heat was actually affecting me as well because, like I said, it was freezing. Early January in London is cold. It was maybe 2 degrees. So we had all the heaters on in the house. I'd been in a pool for hours. Like, really, it was really nice being in a freezing bathroom. Because the windows were open the whole time and our bathroom was just generally colder than the rest of the house. So I felt like I could breathe in there, you know. We sat down. It was nice to see my partner with the baby bonding and good to know that my baby was safe. And my placenta just fell out. I didn't have to like push or anything. I think once I calmed down and smiled a little bit and relaxed a little bit, everything just got better. And from there, things just went up and up, you know. I finally got to lie down comfortably in bed, and the midwives eventually had to leave with their tail between their legs because they really tried to get me to the hospital. Everything became, I didn't pee for long enough, so they said I would need to go to the hospital. I didn't birth my placenta in time. I had a very slight hemorrhage. I still had a hemorrhage, but it wasn't enough to warrant a blood transfusion. Then they wanted to say my baby had jaundice. Then they wanted to say this and this. They just kept trying to give reasons for me to go to the hospital, but eventually they left. And I stayed home and I shared some very beautiful moments. I don't remember the first like few days, but it was incredible being at home with our son as a family, just all of us being naked, walking around the house confused, everybody just being on the same page. This baby doesn't know what the hell is going on, and neither do we. And we just had to figure everything out together, and it was really nice, honestly. It was hard, but it was so worth it, and I'm so glad. Like, I spoke to my birth keeper about what happened with the hemorrhage and all of that, and you know, a lot of that was caused by the intervention and having people interrupt the energy. But she said to me, like, because of the kind of person I am, I've always been fighting against the system, fighting against something. It wouldn't make sense to have it completely seamless. There would still have to be a fight somewhere. I still had to prove a point to somebody somewhere. And so I've accepted that with my birth, is that, there was a fight in it. I had to fight to protect my child. I had to fight to protect my space. And I'm okay with that.
How do you feel after 7 weeks postpartum?
I wish they weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had done a free birth with just my birth keeper.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been really, really nice. So I'm low-key jealous, like, you got to experience that. It would have been so nice not to have people there. But at the same time, I honestly had no clue, how do I feel 7 weeks? I think I know my baby better. We had a little bit of a disconnect because of the disconnect we had just after he was born.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like we really are inseparable. I really feel like his mom, and I really feel like it feels like I have a family. And I think the reality is sinking in more, like, I'm a mom, my partner is a father, we have a baby, a whole child.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I still need to go through this journey to rediscover motherhood and what that means to me and who I am. I feel like I'm still recovering, I'm still going through the journey and the motions and the process of postpartum. I'm still in postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to understand even what my body is, because my body looks so different now. And what does that mean? What can I wear? I have to change everything. I can't wear the same clothes. I can't wear the same underwear. I can't wear the same anything. Like, the simple basic things like nursing bras and nipple pads and leaking boobs and what is all this shit?
Yeah.
What size nappies do I buy? And is his clothes too tight? Is it too loose? Like, I'm just figuring all of it out. And I think a big thing is we don't have any help. It's just me and my partner. Because of COVID, our families aren't able to travel to see us just yet. And I think that makes a big difference, because everything is just like Louis, that's our son. Our lives revolve around changing him, feeding him, burping him, bathing him, ordering nappies, ordering clothes, making sure we eat, making sure we do laundry, making sure there's food in the fridge, making sure we have showers and baths and have soap for baths and toilet paper. And that's basically my life right now, is making sure we're alive and we're surviving. So how do I feel 7 weeks later? Like, I've survived. And I've survived the craziest shit ever. I have done the hardest work I will ever do in my life. And right now we're still in survival mode. But honestly, things are getting a lot easier. We're getting better at figuring it out. And everything's just like flowing.
That sounds good. Definitely gets less intense as the time goes by.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask you about the bipolar, because I'm sure that if you're having babies and you have mental health issues, like for me, I was really scared. No, I wasn't scared. I thought that once I had this birth, the way it was supposed to be, my like I'd stop. I don't know. I thought I'd have my anxiety cured or something like that. Did you feel the same way
Mm-hmm.
about your bipolar? And how is it now?
So I was 100% sure I was gonna have a psychotic episode. So I was 100% sure that I was gonna have a psychotic episode after giving birth. Because postpartum psychosis is rare. But when you have bipolar, 1 in 2 chance of relapse. So 1 in 2 women. So the odds really, it's a 50-50 shot. And I was sure I was going to get it. I was sure I was going to be on the other side of the spectrum. I don't know why, but I just really didn't have faith in myself. And the odds were not against, like the odds were against me in that regard. I'd had a stressful pregnancy, a painful pregnancy, moving countries, moving into a new house, having issues with my landlord, having issues with the property. It was not a smooth journey. And so that's why I was like, I am going to relapse. And I put a lot of measures in place. I had emergency antipsychotics in my cupboard. I had a mental health crisis team on standby. We were ready. I even told my partner, like, yo, when I wild out, it's going to be crazy. Like, buckle up.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I think I was as shocked as everybody else that it didn't happen. I did have a period in my first week where it just wasn't here.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's normal postpartum, especially when you've had such an intense labor.
Yeah.
And what I did to ground myself was I had a friend come over. She does Reiki. And we had a cacao ceremony as well. And basically we had like 2 hours of healing. And during that time, I ended up breaking down so much. I was in tears and I realized I had not been myself. I had not been in my body. I needed to have a journey back into my body. I realized I hadn't taken a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be so surprised, but you need to do diaphragmatic breathing.
Mm-hmm.
During labor and postpartum. It's really important. And I realized I hadn't even taken a deep breath since the baby was born. And, we breathed together, we spoke together, and we journeyed. She guided me back into my body. And that was so healing and it was so important. And I got so pissed that night and I raged. I raged at my partner. I raged at the world. I really just had a proper breakdown and I came back into myself and I felt stronger the next day. I still wasn't like 100% there, but I was stronger. And every week it's just been getting better and better. But I feel like it was really important having things like that in place, like knowing like a holistic healing and that holistic journey, like knowing that I would need to have people around me who can do Reiki, who can do deep breathing, who can do cacao ceremonies and all of this. I've constantly surrounded myself with holistic healers and made sure that I surround myself with those positive kind of energies. Light workers, I call them light workers because they move light through you. And bad mental health is just bad energy that needs to be redirected, moved around, reorganized within your body.
Yes.
And if you can work with light workers, if you can work with healers who know how to move energy, then you'll be good. Just have faith that your body can work through whatever it needs to work through. Just need some guidance.
Yes. Okay. That's good.
And anxiety? The anxiety was there. The anxiety is still there. But I think that's just normal. when you're a first time mom, because it's your first baby. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're doing. You're just winging it.
Mm-hmm. When in doubt, take a deep breath.
Exactly. Just breathe. And we forget. People forget to breathe. Breathing is not just like, it's something you have to actively do.
Right?
Yes, it's innate and it comes naturally to us. But think about when a baby is born, they don't breathe for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They still get oxygen from the cord and they have to learn how to breathe. Just like we have to learn how to breathe after we give birth.
Right. And those breaths can just remove tension, like different areas of your body. Just breathe out that energy.
Exactly. And I have lots of baths. Baths are important.
I wish I had a tub.
I know I shouldn't be reading The Bell Jar. It's a book by Sylvia Plath. She is a writer who killed herself by sticking her head in an oven and gassing herself to death.
She
in the
killed
same
herself.
apartment with 2 kids in the same apartment. The kids survived, but she offed herself. And that's what I'm currently reading. My therapist thinks I'm a joker. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not there. I don't know why. It's because I watched this series called, anyway, there's this popular series on Netflix right now about this woman who falls in love with a married guy who happens to be her boss, who happens to be a psychologist, who happens to have this crazy wife.
Behind her eyes, yes?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh my God.
So now I watched Behind Her Eyes and I decided to read The Bell Jar because I wanted to understand how relationships can affect mental health and the way we perceive the other person in a relationship. And obviously Ted Hughes, I've read his whole collection. He's a poet and he was married to Sylvia Plath. And a lot of feminists blame him for the death. And it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the relationship patterns in Behind Her Eyes and The Bell Jar, there are crossovers. I'd never read the book, but the way people described her, I was like, she sounds a bit like this woman.
Yeah.
So I decided, let me read it. Let me figure it out. Anyway, terrible timing, but I can't control when Netflix releases projects that make me think about things like that. Anyway, so I'm reading that, and one of my favorite lines in the book is when she says that she's talking about baths, and she's like, she doesn't know many things in this world that a good bath can't fix. And I 100% agree with that. Entering a nice bath and just soaking away your problems,
game changer.
That is an answer. That is the answer to any issue you might have.
Make it be so simple.
It is. It's the small things. It's always the small things. There's no need to run marathons when you don't even know how to walk.
Exactly. Oh, this has been really nice. Is there anything else you want to add?
So I will say that I will be adding, I'm obviously a poet and I'm writing a lot more recently, and I want to write more about this journey and what I've experienced, and what obviously the next part is, I guess, what it means to be a mother and what that's going to mean for me as an individual. And if you want to keep up to date with my work and see what I'm doing, all my things are on Instagram. I mainly use Instagram for my art, and I have a website too, but that's also got a link through my Instagram. So find me on Instagram, keep up to date with my journey. And yeah, thank you so much, Nicole. It's been so lovely getting to know you more
Right.
through this as well.
Right. I've been bump mates through this whole COVID thing.
Exactly. You've been such an amazing person to know. I'm so honored. I'm so grateful that you encouraged me as well to do what I did and to have faith in myself and to have faith in my body. You were such a big part of my journey as well, honestly. And you've been so kind and open and honest and giving of your time, of your energy, of your emotional labor. So I'm so grateful. Thank you.
You're welcome. We have to be here for each other.
Yeah.
I think if one
and I
thing,
hope our babies get to meet soon.
They have to. I think one thing I learned, like from being pregnant and like, giving birth, is like the women around you just show up.
Yeah.
They're just gonna show up no matter what.
It's true. And it's such an important part of our lives, you know. You really do need people around you to just support you and support your child. And, you know, it takes a village.
It really does. And birth is just like a small part of the journey.
Exactly. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. I will link all your details in the description.
Thank you. And good night.
Good night.
It's pretty late there.
Right.
Send my love to Kosh and Gadani.
I shall. I'm so happy our babies behaved for this.
I know. It's a blessing.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week. If you'd like to share your story, you can email us at rubymamas14@gmail.com. To join the community, follow the podcast and leave a review or comment. Thanks for tuning in.